On our show tonight, we talk to one of the experts that gets on the ships and gets the ships in and out of port, known as the ship's pilot. We find out about this little known but very, very important job. Our cruise photo of this week comes from the Facebook group Royal Caribbean. And we have a new history of cruising segment all about the island of St. Martin and our latest cruise news and so much more. So we have so much more in tonight's show, so stay tuned because this is Cruise Week TV Live. Our show this week is brought to you by the folks at Good Memories Travel and by VMix. Oh, we got a little problem there. There we go. It froze. All right. On tonight's show, we talked to one of the experts that are... Oh, sorry. Hey there, cruisers. I'm Joe, your newbie cruiser, and my job is to... Well, we got a technical difficulty, Zach. Oh, goodness. All right. Hey there, cruisers. I'm Joe, your newbie cruiser, and my job is to help other cruisers get the best out of their cruises by finding tips, tricks, and money-saving ways to get to go on your next cruise. Our guest this week is one you may not know about, but his job is to guide the ships safely in and out in port, and he's known as the ship's pilot. The ship's pilots are experts in their local port, and they know the ocean tides and where the ships can and can't go. We also have our cruise news, and we promise not to talk about the hurricane too much in the show, as I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about it as much as we are. So let's start off with our photo of the week. Our photo of the week this week comes from Facebook Royal Caribbean group. This was sent in by Jack Steger and is obviously taken by someone other than him, as he is in midair in the picture. And he's here wiping out on the flow rider, which I'm told is a super fun thing for both kids and adults. And I'm told that you can't be too old to try this because on Bird's last cruise, there was a 76-year-old man out there trying it. And as I hear, he was actually succeeding quite well at it, too. So if you ever get a chance to, go on the flow rider. And Jack Steger, thank you so much for sending us this pic. That is a pretty awesome captured motion shot in there. So thank you so much. And whoever took the picture as well. And also, guys, if you guys want to be in our photo of the week, we check out for new photos of the week on Facebook in the Royal Caribbean group and many other groups on Facebook. Or you can send your photos to photos@CruiseWeek.tv if it's something that you feel you want to feature on our show. Please be sure to send that in. So, the Carnival Foundation, the Carnival Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm of the Carnival Corporation and the Miami Heat Charitable Fund, are pledging to raise a combined $5 million in funding for relief and recovery efforts. Carnival Corporation Chairman Mickey Arison and his wife Madeline will match that commitment up to a total of $5 million from the Mickey and Madeline Arison Family Foundation, including the organization's initial donation aimed at supporting the most immediate needs in Florida and the Caribbean. Scheduled as part of an ongoing cruise itineraries, the humanitarian aid efforts will benefit impacted destinations across the region, including Grand Turk, St. Martin, and St. Thomas, Antigua, Barbuda, and the affected Bahamian Islands. And we know that it'll be a while before cruise ships start bringing guests back to places like this, but because of the devastation that... but in St. Martin especially, because the devastation means that not only was their home almost destroyed, but so was their main source of income as well. Royal Caribbean is also going to be sending cruise ships to the Caribbean to help with Hurricane Irma relief efforts and to transport people affected by the storm to safety, Mikey Bailey said. On Sunday, the ship Adventure of the Seas made a humanitarian stop in St. Martin, escorted by the Dutch Navy. We were able to tie up, and we landed much-needed provisions, water, ice, garbage bags, clothing, canned food, he said. We were able to evacuate around 320 tourists and local people who needed help and needed to get out of St. Martin. They all boarded the ship yesterday evening and are comfortable, and we're taking them to the ABC Islands. For those of you that don't know, that's Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, where they'll probably disembark. Michael said that one of the company's other ships, the Majesty of the Seas, is fully provisioned and fully fueled and is being sent to the Virgin Islands. We've been in contact with the local government in the Virgin Islands, the governor and the team there, and they've asked us to come help with land provisions, ice, water, etc., and also use the ship temporarily to feed and take care of the first responders. And then they're planning on boarding anywhere up to 2,500 travelers who are stuck in the Virgin Islands. And we'll take those people to Puerto Rico, where they're working with various airlines to help get them safely home. A third ship, Empress of the Seas, which Bailey said is in the Gulf, will go to Key West as soon as it's safe, where it can land, water, and ice, and really help out with the efforts as best it can. So, of course, this means a lot of cruise itineraries have changed for the next few weeks. But if you are affected by any of the changes, please understand that even though your cruise might have been canceled or even rescheduled, these people's entire lives have been washed away, and we really think here at Cruise Week TV, we think that's something that we need to bear in mind. Over just booking directly with the cruise line? Well, personal service for one, and cash credit back is another. So whatever cruise you're planning on going on, be sure to give Good Memories Travel a call. You get the same great rates as you would booking yourself, plus you may even get an onboard credit or a customer reward. Yes, they actually give you money to go cruise with. They enjoy planning and helping you with weddings and honeymoons, and Good Memories Travel specializes in handling every aspect of your group cruise, family getaway, or that family reunion that you've been wanting to plan. Imagine letting someone else do all the work while you get to relax. In fact, Debbie is handling our group cruise on the Carnival Horizon in 2019. But they don't just handle cruises for Carnival. They also book cruises for other cruise lines like Royal, Norwegian, MSC, and many more all over the world. They're your one-stop place for everything when you're planning your cruise. So call Debbie for a no-obligation quote on your next cruise. What have you got to lose? Debbie can be reached at 321-338-2953, and of course through their website at goodmemoriestravel.com, and let them know that you heard about them right here on Cruise Week TV. So now, if you've ever watched over the side of the ships as they come into the port, you'll often notice that little boat that comes up alongside when the ship nears the port area, and that single guy jumps from the boat to the ladder, hanging off, and he's hanging off the side of the ship to climb up. And that's not them practicing for a scene from the upcoming Indiana Jones movie, like many of you might have thought that it was, although it certainly could be. That's actually the local pilot coming on board to help guide the ship in. So why can't the captain park the ship himself? Well, here to answer that and all of your questions is the pilot from Freeport, Jay Wallace. Welcome to the show, Jay. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you, Jay. So you were originally from the Bahamas. Tell us a little bit, just a brief thing about what you do for those of our guests that might not know what a ship's pilot does.
A ship pilot is basically like an air traffic controller, but we basically just go on board ourselves when we give directions to the ship's captain or the one who is steering the vessel to avoid reefs. We know the port very well, so we just like a ship's guide. We don't touch the steering. The captain or the chief mate who's steering the vessel will steer, and we just give directions and to where the ship should go. Basically, that's it.
So now, that seems like it's a kind of a stressful job in a way. Like you've got to make sure that but you have to know the port very well to do that. You have to make sure that the captain's not going to hit anything on the way in and out. And you have to know the tides and everything. Do you spend a lot of your time studying all that?
Yeah, on a daily basis, the weather gives out an outlay of the current conditions of the tide. Of the reefs, the outlying shoals or other hazards by using navigational aids such as lighthouses or buoys. We direct courses and speeds of ships as well based on specialized knowledge of the local winds and weather and the depths as well. One of the main responsibilities as a pilot is to steer ships into or out of berths or signal tugboats for the cargo vessels berth or unberth the vessel. Some may also we also prevent ships under their navigational control from engaging in any unsafe operation, because mostly on cruise lines and on cargo vessels, the captains usually every 3 to 6 months they move them around. So this week the Carnival Breeze may come in with the captain that came in 3 other times, but next week the ship may come in with a new captain who is unfamiliar with the area and the territory. So that too is also why a ship pilot is also used to guide vessels in.
So now, what kind of education did you have to get to learn about becoming a ship's pilot, or even like just about your own port?
There was a local school here in the Bahamas that's based in Nassau, the Maritime College. I started out as a deckhand, basically cleaning the vessel, tying up the boat for the captain, and my interest grew, and I wanted to steer the ship or the pilot boat. There's a local school here in Nassau as well. I live in Freeport, but the Maritime School in Nassau provide the education. It's I did the course in about 2 years, and I was certified 2 years later after I gained my SWTC certificate, and then I was certified as a Marine captain. Then here I am today. Your friend, our friend Kim, Rowdy, and Charlie visited last year sometime, and I was fortunate to hang out with them, and I took the Carnival Breeze out to sea.
Well, actually, speaking of Kim Rowdy actually just sent in a question for you. She just wants to know: are the ship's crew nice and respectful to you, Jay?
Oh yeah, they are. We get on board, we climb the ladder. I'm escorted by the ship security to the bridge, and when I enter the bridge, there the captain is. I shake his hand, and then he offers me coffee, tea, drink, biscuits, sandwich. Sometimes I refuse, and sometimes I oblige. It's really nice.
That's really cool. So we have another question from this one from Alex Kaufman. He wants to know: do the military vessels use pilots?
Military vessels, when they're entering when they're to the harbor, yes, they do.
Wow, that's actually interesting. I thought that answer could go the other way too. So
yeah.
But, so we got Alex Nieves wants to know, when the ship is under pilot control, is the ship captain still fully in command of the vessel, or is the pilot then fully in command?
The pilot at that moment is fully in command, and the captain of the vessel actually takes instructions from the ship's pilot. The instructions is basically navigational aids as far as speed, as far as turning starboard, turning port. So at that moment in time, the pilot gets on the ship and he enters the bridge. The pilot then is in command of the ship for a few minutes until the ship is alongside the berth and is tied up.
So now we got a follow-up question that came in from Sebastian Soderstrom. He's asking, does that mean that a pilot in a way outranks the captain?
Not necessarily so. The captain is in charge of the vessel per se. He is in charge of the passengers, but when the ship enters a territory, any territory in the Bahamas or in the Caribbean, where a pilot is on board, the pilot is responsible for navigating that ship into port safely and out as well. Any damages to the vessel, it could be the port or the island could be responsible if procedures wasn't followed due to any missteps. So it's very important that both the pilot and the captain work together to ensure a safe berth and a safe voyage out to sea.
So now, if who employs a ship's pilot? You're not employed by the cruise ship industry?
No, I'm employed locally by the Port Authority. So the cruise ship has no employment status on the marine pilots here, or basically anywhere throughout the world.
So we have a question. This one coming in from Periscope. Cruising Cat on Periscope. Awesome, Cruising Cat. So she wants to know: have you ever had an issue getting from the pilot boat onto the ship?
There have been a few missteps I had on the ladder, depending on the weather and how high the seas are. I remember having a misstep on the ladder coming down. The seas was really rough. When I missed a step, and then I had an ankle injury, which left me out of work for about a week because of the misstep. And when I jumped onto the boat, I re-aggravated it, and that was it. So it's a physical job, not really so physical, but because we have to climb up the ladder and we have to climb down, and the weather and the surface high and the weather is rough. It could be a challenge, but I'm up for it.
That sounds like it could be quite a challenge. So you have to maintain a certain level of physical fitness to do your job, to get onto the ship and whatnot, or to go from to do that all day.
Right. Do it all day, because a cruise ship from the boat to deck zero isn't about 3 feet, but when I'm climbing a cargo ship, the climb could be as high as 10 to 12 feet up to the deck.
Wow. So you have a little more trouble with the cargo ships than you do with the cruise ships.
Yeah, basically, it's a shorter climb to the cruise ship, but it's a longer climb to the cargo ships.
Wow. We have another question that came in. This one from Alex Kaufman. Alex Kaufman wants to know, what was your scariest piloting experience?
My scariest pilot experience is when I navigated a cargo ship at night, out of the port just before the pending storm last year, Hurricane Matthew. The cargo ship ended up leaving later as scheduled, and the conditions were terrible. But the ship had to leave. No ships are really allowed at the berth during a storm, so we try to get all the vessels out before the pending storm. But this cargo ship was delayed for some mechanical reason getting out, and the seas was really jagged. It was really rough, and getting onto that pilot boat was one of the most scariest things I've ever experienced. It was dark, and the rain was upon me, and the boat was rocking. But I made it down safely.
Wow. Just listening to that story, I think I got scared.
Yeah, rough. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been terrifying. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it was a daunting event. It was rather challenging.
Now, I've heard in some places in the world there are ship's pilots that don't just climb aboard the ships, but they get onto ships by helicopter. Can you explain to me, what circumstances would a ship's pilot board a ship by helicopter? Have you ever done that yourself?
No, I've never done that. There are a few vessels, but the maritime law is sort of preventing that from happening, because it could be dangerous. Basically, when the ship is not accessible by ladder, they usually heliport them in, the marine pilot by air. But that's not really practiced now. It's very rare that that happens now because ships now has to be outfitted with a ladder for the purpose of climbing up or climbing down.
So we have a question came in. This one from Chuck Carmichael. He wants to know how many ships do you pilot into the harbor in a day? Do you think?
On a 12-hour day, depending on the schedule of the port, as far as vessels coming in and out, it could be up to about 6 to 7, including cargo vessels and cruise ships.
We got another one from Razor Ray on Periscope. He wants to know, have you ever had to deny a ship into port? And if you have, what is the, is that your authority to do that?
Yes, we've had to deny a cruise ship or two in the past due to high winds and due to visibility. It's very rare that has happened. I think the last ship that was denied entry, I think, was the Carnival Pride. It had to been more than a year ago. That day, the winds was extremely, it exceeded over 50 knots. So those type of conditions where it's unsafe to berth a ship or to take a ship out, the call is canceled. So they just enjoyed a sea day, I guess.
Another question came in from Alex Kaufman. How do you keep track of each ship's capabilities, such as like cargo ships versus cruise ships?
What do you mean? The question, capabilities as of what? I'm trying to understand the question.
To understand it, the best that I understand of this, like how do you keep track of like where a cruise ship could go versus where like a cargo ship could go, like to avoid damage to each one? Like how do you, like if you're trying to navigate them into the port? I think and this is just what I think this question means. This isn't one of my questions, but if you're trying to navigate it into the port, since a cargo ship might be a little different to navigate than a cruise ship, how do you keep track of where like the size of each one can go?
Most cargo ships that come here needs the assistance of a tugboat. Because they don't have the steering that a cruise ship would have, as far as backing out and pulling away and putting to the key or to the berth. Most cargo ships are assisted by tug, where a rope is connected from the tugboat to the vessel, and it's guided in and it's guided out, because it has to make maneuvers such as turns. A cruise ship doesn't need a tug because it has all the capabilities and all the bells and whistles. It can reverse, it can back away, it can move aside and move forward. All that they have the capability, and all I am saying to the ship's captain is turn 2 degrees to the left or turn 5 degrees to the right. And they follow my instructions and they follow my command to make a perfect berth or unberth.
Wow. So it's just interesting to me how the ship is like under your command for just like that bit of time that you get to get on the ship, command the ship, and then get off the ship.
Yeah, because it's interesting because when I entered the bridge, I'm greeted with the captain and his crew, and they all shake my hand. They welcome me on board, and the captain usually says, "You're in charge."
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Another question came in from Cruising Cat. So do you work all 7 days straight, or do you get regular days off, like 2 days off a week or 3 days off a week, or?
Yeah, 12-hour shifts. I work 4 days, and then I'm off for 4. And then when I go back to work on the next cycle, I do the night shift for 4, 12 hours, 6 to 6. and I'm off 4 days. And when I go back to work on another cycle, I do the morning shift.
So, how many pilots, how many boat pilots or ship pilots are there in Freeport?
We have approximately 8 to 10 of us, about 10.
Okay. We got another question from Alex Neves, who wants to know: is there a minimum visibility for a ship to leave or to arrive in the port?
Yeah, there is. If visibility is less than 10% on any given day, ships are denied. Cargo ships will usually stay and wait it out, but a cruise ship, which is on an itinerary and on the schedule, will actually have to be canceled and have a sea day. But cargo ships would usually wait till conditions improve, and then we would bring them in. But a cruise ship, as you know, is on the schedule and is on an itinerary. So if visibility is low, if the winds are high, if conditions aren't right to navigate a ship in, then that ship will be canceled.
So, now, did you say the visibility, if it's less than 10%, that ships get denied? Because even 10% seems like, I mean, even if, like 20% to me seems like it's really low visibility.
Yeah.
So what's the,
But
I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Visibility here in Grand Bahama is not really an issue. We don't have visibility issues. There was really a time, I think there was one time that we had fog early in the morning, but by 8 a.m. or so, it was up. So we never had a ship canceled due to visibility. Fortunately, that's never been one of our problems here as far as canceling a call.
So we got a question from Chuck Carmichael. It says, do you normally have a tug standing by in close quarters just in case of a system failure?
Yeah, a tug is always available. A tug is always available for any assistance that it may be deemed necessary. Yes.
So, Kat sent another one in. She just wants to know if you've ever have you ever been on a cruise ship as a passenger?
As a matter of fact, I love cruising. I just got off the Vista 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
That cruise, that was my 12th Carnival cruise. Yeah, so I do. I enjoy it to the max. The Carnival Vista is a beautiful ship. Spent 8 days. Went to Grand Turk, La Romana, Aruba, and Curacao. Had a ball, man. Had a ball.
Well, you hear that, guys? We have a fellow cruiser. Like, we have a fellow cruiser in our midst. Jay, you're in good company, honestly. Like, this is the largest group of people that love to go on cruises that I've ever met in my life. So you're among good company.
And I got 2 cruises booked, and I got 2 cruises booked next year, so I'm good.
Well, we're in our last few questions here, and then we're going to wrap it up. So one of the last few questions. Now, do you ever find yourself in a situation where, like, I mean, do you use like GPS, or do you just give verbal directions and guide ships just on your own like that?
GPS is not needed for me at this stage of my career. We have navigational aids such as buoy. There is an aid that we look at from the bridge to the harbor. It's just basically when you drive a car forever and ever, you can stare with your knee and drink, and you know how to get home with your eyes closed. So that's basically how it is now. Unless conditions get worse and it's really bad to navigate, and then you really have to put your thinking cap on. But it's basically simple. It's depending on where the cruise is coming from. The pilot station where we enter, where we jump on board the vessel, is about 1 mile out. So I'm only in charge for 1 mile coming in. I'm only in charge for 1 mile going out, and that's it. Then the captain is basically in charge. Yeah.
So now we're gonna ask you. There's one more question I have before we wrap it up. Do you know? Do you ever come across a ship that has like a pilotage a pilotage exemption certificate? And do you? How is that obtained, and who by whom is it obtained? And if you could explain to our viewers what a pilotage exemption certificate is.
A pilotage exemption certificate is a vessel manned by a captain who comes in and out every day. For example, we have a daily charter where we had one called Discovery Cruise Line. It went to Fort Lauderdale and back every day, and it used the same captain. So the captain became familiar with the route, with the navigational aids coming into the harbor. So that ship, when he was the captain, was exempted a pilot because he basically knew the ways in and the ways out. So in conditions or in circumstances such as that, and now we have the Grand Celebration that visits between Grand Bahama and West Palm Beach on a daily basis, but that ship is now piloted. That had an exemption, but now we take it out every time it comes in and every time it leaves. But before, so that's basically what a pilot exemption is. Just basically a pilot that comes in every day and who knows the in and outs of the port.
All right, so now I know I said that was our last question, but you had one more that I thought was good enough, like that I thought was really good that I want to add in from Razor Ray and Periscope. He asks, is there ever a language barrier between you and the captain?
No. Each captain can say, "Good morning. You're in charge." That's it.
I like that.
Coffee, tea, biscuit. And then that's it, because I'm basically just saying numbers that they're familiar with. I'm just giving them directions that they are familiar with in English, so it's no problem.
Good morning, you're in charge. I like those words. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate finding out about your job and how it keeps the islands and the ships safe. Thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight.
Anytime, and anytime you or your viewers, Grand Bahama, give me a shout. I'll be more happy to, be of some assistance.
Well, at some point in the near future, I'm hoping to maybe go on a cruise, and then I'll be sure to come by. I'll be sure to stop by and say hey to Jay.
Great.
Guys, this show and all the wonderful abilities that we have to bring in guests remotely wouldn't be possible at the level that we do it without vMix. vMix is the live production software that powers our live show and many other high-end productions, from church services to football games, and more live productions are running on vMix. And what our producer Bird really liked when he was trying to improve our show was that they give you a full 60-day trial of everything. That way you can test it out risk-free before you buy for a full 2 months. And then they have systems starting at just $350. If you're going to do any sort of serious live streaming, you need vMix. So try it at vmix.com today. Guys, the island of St. Martin is one of the most interesting in all of the Caribbean, sporting both French and Dutch sides, as well as Maho Beach, where the airplanes fly so low that it almost feels like you can reach right out and touch them. And of course, the island didn't always have these features, but even its history is fascinating. Ancient relics date the island's first settlers, probably the Tiboni Indians, back to 3,500 years ago. In 1493, Christopher Columbus himself saw the island and named it Isla de San Martin after St. Martin of Tours. However, though he claimed it as a Spanish territory, Spain never actually made settlement there. In fact, they made settlement such a low priority that the French and Dutch both coveted the island, and they jumped at the chance to establish settlements on the island. Both the French and Dutch tried to claim St. Martin for their own, and after some initial conflict, both sides realized that neither of the other side was going to yield easily. Preferring to avoid an all-out war, they signed the Treaty of Concordia in 1648, which divided the island in two. Now, according to legend, in order to decide on territorial boundaries, the two sides held a contest. It began with a Frenchman drinking wine and a Dutchman drinking Dutch gin. When both had sufficiently imbibed, they embarked from Oyster Pond on the island's east coast. The Frenchmen headed off along the coast to the north, while the Dutchmen followed the coast south. Wherever the two groups met was where they would draw the dividing line from Oyster Pond. Now, the Dutchman met a woman and he stopped to sleep off the effects of the gin, and the Frenchman was able to cover more distance, but apparently also cheated as he cut through the northeastern part of the island and therefore ended up with more land. Of course, I gotta tell you guys, this story is not necessarily historically accurate, but it is often told as part of the culture there. In the 20th century, mass numbers of slaves were imported to work in St. Martin on the plantations where cotton, tobacco, and sugar was cultivated. Now, the French side of the island was the first to abolish slavery in 1848, causing slaves from the Dutch side to threaten to flee to the French side seeking asylum. And this, of course, ended with the Dutch abolition of slavery in 1863. After abolition of slavery, plantation culture declined and the island's economy suffered. That is until 1939, when St. Martin received a major boost when it was declared a duty-free port. The Dutch began focusing on tourism then, and in the 1950s. And the French took another 20 years to start developing their tourism industry. And today, tourism provides the backbone of the economy for both sides of the island. So, we're going on our group cruise in 2019 in the Carnival Horizon, and this is being put on by our friends over at Good Memories Travel. And we'd love to get our community on there with us. It's going to be on February 23rd, 2019, and we hope to have our entire team on board and be having a blast with all of you, as well as enjoying one of Carnival's biggest and newest ships. The entry for the $500 drawing has also been extended, so you can be entered into that when you book. There's a web page for the cruise, and that is CruiseWeek.tv/groupcruise. Let us know what you'd like to see on the group cruise, since we've never done one before. The entry for the $500 drawing has been extended till December 31st, so go ahead and book and join myself, Bird, Matt, and Shally, all with you guys on the ship. And it's getting close to time to wrap up tonight's show, guys. But before we go, first I want to thank Cruising Cat from RC Periscopers Group for helping us out in the Periscope chat room and keeping order over there. Guys, if you want to see a lot of live streams from the people on the ships, head over to the RC Periscopers Group on Facebook for a list. And Bert is posting videos weekly from the interviews that he's done on his last trip, so be sure to check these out at CruiseWeek.tv. And guys, if you know someone who's going to enjoy the show and watching the show as much as you do, be nice and share the link to their Facebook wall. That way they can enjoy the show too. Also, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just doing that really helps our show, and it shows us our sponsors and it shows our sponsors the support that we have, and it helps keep the show alive each week. Thanks, everyone, for coming in and joining us. Matt is going to be back next week, along with Shally, and I'll be back the week after. Don't forget, Matt chats with everyone midweek in his midweek social, so if you want to just kick back, relax, and talk cruising without getting dressed up for the formal night, be sure to join him 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Until then, guys, we'll see you on the ships.